And he was told, if you talked about this, we'll throw you out of a helicopter and you'll be killed. We're now 70, 80 years into an era of secrecy that's been a mistake. Everyone now acknowledges that. Well, what I'm describing has been the largest transnational criminal organization in the known history of humanity. Our biggest vulnerability, I'll tell you right now, is this organization using those advanced technologies to stir up all manner of trouble, to start a war here, to look like an alien invasion there. There's that guy Ross, I can't pronounce his last name, who's with that News Nation. How do you say his Cathort? I've met him before, but
Coulthard.
Yeah, something like that. I have to get the pronunciation right on that. When the episode that he did on drones that had this little clip of Mr. Barber in it, he went on and on about the drones. They have to be alien. Well, here's some very bad news. They aren't. It's good news and bad news. The bad news part of it is that some of these are just obviously drones, very clunky. There are some other weird things going on with orbs and spheres and energy fields and weird fog, whatever stuff. Every one of those phenomena, all of that phenomena, we have the capabilities to hoax as humans. Now, let me go back to what the head of the Lockheed Skunk Works said in 1995 on his deathbed. Anything you can imagine, we've already done at the Skunk Works, and it's not out at Area 51, it's out there. Now, I've been to that site, and I'll tell you that whatever you imagine in terms of technological capability, it's more than that. It's way more than that. And it crosses not only in terms of energy and propulsion, but sort of interdimensional phenomenon, systems that are interfacing with consciousness and thought and all kinds of issues. So now all those technologies could also be repurposed to healing, gathering knowledge, scientific investigation, travel, clean energy, using very advanced technology to reverse the damage we've already done to the Earth. That is possible with these technologies. So there's a huge technological payday and a big leap forward for humanity if it's used for good purposes. But currently, these technologies are in the hands of people who are more about consolidating power through fear and manipulation. And that is the big change that has to happen from these programs that have been running amok since the late 1950s. So, one of the things that I love is this sort of thing. Now, this is just a page out of the briefing document for the president and members of Congress. It's 320 some pages, something. And this has an illustration, and you'll see on the left side ET craft, and on the right, the man-made ones. And we have several pages of these. The reason we put that in there is because most people, even if you're fairly close up, if you don't know what to look for, you're going to think an object is alien or NHI craft, non-human intelligence craft, when it's actually came out of the Raytheon, or it came out of the Lockheed Skunk Works or Northrop Grumman. And if you look at the illustrations that we have from our whistleblower, TE, who was on a retrieval team, his first retrievals were UFOs, UAPs, that were these triangular objects that were from Northrop Grumman and Raytheon. They were not alien or NHI at all. So this we have known now for a very, very long time. But what we have found is that there are certain people out there who are embedded counterintelligence officers and disinformation functionaries who go to members of Congress or White House people or the media and say, we don't have anything like that. Therefore, anything that looks alien is alien. And that then opens the door to all the staged false alien events that are scary to be rubber stamped as NHI alien when it's not. and it absolutely isn't. That is the biggest part of the secrecy. And I think that is why, if you look at the testimony, we can show the illustration of this big 300-foot diameter craft that the Marine platoon member back in 2009 encountered in Indonesia, Michael Herrera. And if you look at that craft, and I don't have it here in front of me, but that thing was 300 feet across. It was manned. And the way it left after they were almost killed, they were packaging up humans in crates to use in human experimentation back home. And these were Americans who were like mercenary type guys operating this 300-foot diameter craft. The way it left, it was like a spark off a flying wheel. It went up. It was a little bit of transformer sound, like a humming. Went up and then boom, over the horizon in a couple seconds at 100,000 miles per hour, something like that. Now, that was in 2009. And that craft, if it came over Washington, D.C. or Los Angeles, 99.999999999 out to how many decibels, percentage of the population would say it's an alien craft. So that's why people like Ross will see these images and go, it's got to be alien. Because they haven't gotten the information accurately. It's a research failure on their part. That we have technologies, and however far advanced you think it is, as I said a moment ago, it's way more. I mean, it's orders of magnitude more. And I do want to say this. I have met more than one top secret scientist who lives and breathes in SCIFs, secure compartmented information facilities, or STIFs, subterranean facilities, underground. Some people call them DUMBs, deep underground military bases. And those are guys who are often plucked out of high school and college, who have IQs north of 200, who are absolute engineering and physics geniuses. And they live most of their life working on these projects in a compartmented operation. So you're also dealing with some of the great geniuses of the last 70 years, and nobody knows their name. They're not the people who worked on, my uncle worked on the lunar module with Northrop Grumman that landed on the moon in 1969. Harry Neil Armstrong there. But these are the people, he was very bright, but these are people who are extraordinary. And they are pulled into those operations. So you not only have illegal black budget funding, and you have something to study that's an actual extraterrestrial device. You then have a brain trust, and I would call it a brain drain for general society, because it's all covert and illegally covert, of really brilliant scientists. And there's some of the most stunningly brilliant minds I've ever met, unfortunately, are being wasted working in these covert programs that are benefiting not humanity one bit. It's actually hurting humanity. So that's another, let's call it peace dividend or disclosure dividend, is that if you had that kind of resources, both intellectual and manpower, but also financial, to bend the sword into a plowshare of free energy, or as a doctor, things I've seen and heard about that could do amazing technologies for healing and repairing trauma and all kinds of advanced technologies. We would really, in 20 years, have a civilization that would faintly resemble this one. It would be so advanced. And this is, how you lift the humanity out of the great poverty it's in, but also turns away from cannibalizing the earth by destroying the earth with technologies from the 1800s, fossil fuels, oil, gas, coal, and then nuclear. Wind and solar doesn't have the energy density to fix the problem. We cover that in The Lost Century. You should go all look at The Lost Century, that documentary. You can now see it on Tubi and some other places. So I think that when we look at this, there's a beautiful new world coming, but there are these problems that you have to take care of. Now, there are going to be a lot of people who want to whistle past that graveyard, and I think that's dangerous. It's a little bit saying, I want to add a whole new beautiful addition to my house, but this whole part of it that's part of that house has the roof off, it's leaking, the whole structure is about to fall in, right? You have to do both, because we're now 70, 80 years into an era of secrecy that's been a mistake. Everyone now acknowledges that. How do we get out of that with it not being kinetic or violent? So we think it can be done. And I'm a man of peace, but I'm also not someone that thinks you let people just run amok doing the things they've been doing, because things they've been doing include kidnapping, abductions, targeted killings, murder, embezzlement, intimidation, bribery, blackmail, control of freedoms through the internet and media, where people are censored, on and on and on. This is all related to an attempt to institute a global, sort of more totalitarian superstate. And the way they can do that is by pointing to a threat from outer space. And this is why my friend Carol Rosin and I were talking last night. And she had worked with Wernher von Braun, who invented the rocket for Adolf Hitler. In the last years of his life, he said, they're going to hoax a threat. They're going to send, objects that are going to look alien, and they're not. This is 1974, 50 years ago. And he said, it's all a lie, but that's how they can consolidate power. And that's always been the long-term plan since the 50s. So the only way that doesn't happen is that our eyes are wide open. Like we just pull the curtain back on the Wizard of Oz, behind the curtain, pulling all the levers, scaring the hell out of everyone, and say, that's a psyop. That's a psychological warfare operation. Oh, that device that did that is, and those creatures on that device are exactly what's in the Jacques Vallée CIA document that he's afraid to release, but that he summarized in his book in 1992, and that they were engaging in abductions for
Dr.
warfare value.
Just to add to that, and I mean no disrespect to Jacques Vallée. He's a lovely guy. I got the privilege of spending a lot of time with him.
Yes.
But when I reached out in 2021 and very respectfully requested that document so we could include it in the Cosmic Hoax, he totally flipped out and became irate and said that, I was everything that was wrong with this field. And so it was a reaction that made no sense to me. And I'm not a mind reader, but I got the impression from that reaction that he was scared, that he was genuinely frightened.
Sure. Absolutely. And remember, the mechanism whereby he received that document was because in the 80s, he began to associate with some unsavory people who are part of that deep illegal programs legacy. And that's doubtlessly how he acquired that document. And so to disclose it, it could cost him his life. Who knows? I mean, look, people think this is some kind of conspiracy theory. It's not. It's just a criminal conspiracy. And, there was something called the mafia, or it is. And they did have hitmen that did kill people who would blow the whistle on them. For all the people who say all of this is a conspiracy theory, you're about to have the wake up of your life in the next couple of months. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, there's a reason we have RICO.
Yeah, exactly. Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization, RICO, was exactly created by the U.S. Congress and signed into law by the president to take on these complex criminal organizations. Well, what I'm describing has been the largest transnational criminal organization in the known history of humanity. I am not overstating that. Now, I'm hoping, and I know that this is the hope of the people coming forward. They've been special forces at these black sites. They have not been the people in the C-suite, the executive suites, and special programs directors at Lockheed or Northrop or Raytheon or whoever. General Electric, Booz Allen Hamilton, SAIC. These are all have compartmented special programs that deal with this. And similarly, the parallel to that is integrated with that are similar programs that are in military and intelligence units and then in policy positions where they have embedded operatives, whether they be in Congress or in the permanent bureaucracy of the CIA or Pentagon or NSA. So all of that is there. It has to be investigated. That has to get under proper control, and there has to be a stick and there has to be a carrot here. And the carrot is, you can be exonerated, you can be, get immunity, you can get protection, but you got to come completely clean. So if you're writing down, that's what's in this, has to be in an executive order or something that the Department of Justice would do. Now, it's a bigger problem. I don't want to overly complicate this. When you go OCONUS, outside the continental United States, now it's another whole discussion, because you have these operations. For example, we have the whistleblower who last year, in the summer of 2023, Mr. Hecker, who was down at the South Pole working for Raytheon, and described this huge neutrino light array technology a mile under the ice at the South Pole. That is not only a tracking system for the Earth and space, but a weapon system. Now, that's there. Now, that's not on U.S. soil. And similarly, we have a whistleblower who came forward in the first disclosure project effort in 2001, who was at the facility at a base near the Bolivian-Peruvian border when we knocked down an ET craft and it crashed, and he and his sergeant were like the first people there. And he was told, if you talked about this, we'll throw you out of a helicopter and you'll be killed. Very similar to what Michael Herrera was told in 2009. But this was back, I believe, in the 80s. And you can read his account in our archive. And those sort of places exist on every continent. And they exist in the oceans. And they exist in the Arctic and at the South Pole. And they exist on and on and on and on. So this is why I keep saying that this is going to have to quickly go from a U.S. disclosure and operation to a global one. And for that, you're going to have a certain détente and rapprochement with a lot of world leaders, whether they are viewed as adversaries or not. But on this issue, they all need to be in a coalition to secure the peace, to cease and desist from targeting and destroying extraterrestrial craft and people, and to create a global outreach like the Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind initiative, but a global official outreach from humans, not just one nation, but all of humanity, to these extraterrestrial civilizations, and extend a side of ourselves that is our higher angels, let's say, instead of just a warmongering bunch of apes running around killing everything we don't understand. Let's begin to act like a civilized people.